So, 311's on Sodor, is she?
Yeah, she is. Why is she here? What does she want? And more importantly, how do you know her?
I'm Marianne, one of Miss Jenny's vehicles. But as for why she's here, I can't be sure.
Tell me about her, please. I want to know more.
I met Jessica, or 311 as everyone calls her, back in America when the Clinchfield Railroad was starting to expand. I heard of how other engines weren't exactly treating her very well. I was one of the vehicles that helped build parts of the railroad, including one particular bridge.
The one she fell off.
The very same one. Anyway, I remember it very well the day I met her.
The year was 1953. The line had been mostly completed, but the one piece left to put in was the bridge. Marianne was in the yard when she heard the sound of a large engine chucking in.
Excuse me, are you okay?
I'm just fine, thank you very much. Why would a steam shovel even know about the troubles of a steam engine anyway?
I'm just asking a question, dearie. Ain't no need to be huffy.
Listen, 311, do us all a favor. Quit jinxing our railroad. Transfer to another, or go and chuff off a bridge. There's no room for a jinx killer like you on the Clinchfield.
What's going on here? Why do they do this?
I have no idea. Maybe it's due to my natural existence. But either way, nobody here really gives a rusty axle for me.
Now, you listen here, sugar. There ain't no reason to have that sort of attitude. Every machine's built for a reason. I'm built for digging up ditches and helping to build railroads, for example. That's what steam shovels are for. You, being a steam locomotive, can do heavier jobs than an old machine like me can't.
Deep down, 311 knew she was right. Every machine was built for a purpose. It might take a while, but even she would find hers someday.
Thank you very much. I needed a little pick-me-up after today. You know, I never did catch your name.
Marianne's the name, and digging for railroads is my game. You got a name, stranger, or do they all call you 311?
I do have a real name. I had to name myself since nobody gave me one officially. It's Jessica.
A good name, and take my word for it, Jessica. You'll see that one day you'll find your real purpose.
What a story, Marianne. I had no idea you actually met her.
Jessica and I were close friends for a few years. When I found out about the crash, it devastated me. I was left wondering why she did what she did. What was her motive? Why would she end her life in such a tragic way, similar to that of your own brother?
Thomas looked down at the mere mention of Timothy. The thoughts of the previous encounters with him still plagued his smoke box.
Chin up though, Thomas. Things will work out for you and him someday. I can guarantee it.
The mystery of Timothy would have to be put on the back burner in Thomas's mind for now. At the moment, another mystery was in need of solving. The mystery of Jessica, also known as Clinchfield 311, and why she had come to Sodor with her alleged curse. After his crew got him prepared and fired up, Thomas left the china clay pits. The day had come at last. All the engines were getting set up for Halloween. Several parties of people, young and old alike, would come to dress up as many different scary forms of costumes, such as witches, mummies, vampires, and zombies. As the day went on and the countdown for Halloween night began, some of the engines couldn't help but think of 311, for today would mark 60 years since her accident. Early that morning, Henry was taking a goods train to Tidmouth Harbor. On the way, he puffed past the section of the main line where he had his infamous accident with the Flying Kipper in 1935.
Not a day goes by whenever I pass this place. That crash I had almost 80 years ago still remains as a haunting reminder of what can happen on the rails when we can least expect it.
So, how is it that you've not been part of the curse?
I've asked myself that very same question, Mr. Oliver. My only guess is that the ghost train saw that I was not a threat to her or related to her class, let alone being a mountain engine. I remember my first encounter with 311 like if it were yesterday. It was 1978, a few years after I had been preserved. I was visiting the Clinchfield as part of a Halloween celebration. Sure enough, when I least expected it, she showed up, and I was terrified. She gave me an icy cold stare before telling me that if I didn't leave the Clinchfield the following day, she would add me to her curse. I took this threat seriously and responded to her, saying my number was not the same as hers, and that I was leaving anyway. Before I knew it, 311 was gone, leaving me speechless and horrified for my life.
That's very creepy. Ever since I saw the ghost of Black Wolf Mountain, I've kept my eyes out for it in case it appeared again.
Me too, but since my first encounter with it, I've not seen or heard it. Gordon told me that if any of us saw the ghost train in person, we'd all be lost and consumed. But that's not happened to me, or him, or even Oliver.
All of this reminds me of one tale of what happened to an unfortunate man who met his end at the hands of 311. It certainly wasn't pretty either, and my crew saw it all with their own eyes.
What happened to him?
Please do tell.
Jason took a deep breath and started his story.
It was around the time in 1961, after the last major railroad in America, the Norfolk and Western, was dieselized the year before. The era of steam was at an end, and many engines were being sold for scrap, or being bought or preserved by private owners. The workers who took each loco apart showed no respect or any signs of sadness after all the hard service they had given over the years. One of them was on a night shift duty with some other workers. The night was dim, hazy, and cold. As he made his way along the sidings, he came across a loco that he thought was ready for scrapping. He got his blowtorch out and only cut off a handrail when something unexpected happened. The engine let off steam, whistling long and loud at him. The man got scared as he looked up at the mammoth, its headlight shining blood red, right at him before he heard its voice.
You fool! Now you must die!
My driving firemen were new and young back then, and they were looking for jobs. What they saw was most horrifying. They called the cops and the local sheriff, and only found the remains of a burn mark and a scrapper's blowtorch. But then one of the cops saw a note, a picture of the lost man with only a number, 311. Ever since that day, my crew told me about it, and that's what's attached me to the ghost train. The Demon 311 is a bloodthirsty killer. I can remember one encounter 18 years ago, in 1999, when I was running on the same line to the Black Wolf logging camp in a rainstorm. As I was to enter it, she was there. Her presence was eerie, cold, and bone-chilling. I was too terrified to speak or even blow my whistle in alarm. She said something to me before fading into the unknown. Now, with our anniversary upon us, it's only a matter of time before the demon engine strikes once more and claims another soul.
At Wellsworth Station, Edward was resting in his siding after finishing some shunting. Thomas arrived with Annie and Clarabelle to drop off and pick up passengers. He told Edward all about what happened at the China clay pits, and the old engine was very surprised.
Perhaps 311 was fighting to preserve the steam engine so that no diesel or any other machinery can replace us here on Sodor. Maybe she's not a threat like our American visitors first thought.
That's not what I saw, Edward. She was inches from my buffers. The horrible look on her face was just as creepy as TV's demon form. When I was face to face with him, it's been several months since I dealt with him. He's still out there. The war between me and him isn't over.
Thomas was filled with questions floating around in his smoke box. For the rest of the day, as Halloween was just hours away, he and Edward worked together, delivering the last materials and decorations needed for the costume parties.
Looks like I was able to silence 311.
I think that was a bad mistake there, Edward. Now that you answered back, she might come and take you.
She won't, Thomas. I spoke to her before and she spared me. Somewhere left within her there is good and she's looking for redemption. I could see it in her eyes, but she wasn't accepting it. Perhaps a second try will be enough to make her see sense.
Edward, you're either silly, brave, or as Gordon once said, senile. Do you know that?